Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Gregory Grouch, who is going to be one of two characters that will be involved in the Road to Christmas event, obviously, that is going to be in TWD RTS. Visually, on the right hand side, he is looking actually pretty nuts. The gun really sticks out, but very Christmassy. He's got a teddy bear on his back that is looking a bit frayed, unfortunately. It's fallen apart a little bit. But he's got his Christmas hat on. The weapon is wrapped as well. It's got the bow. I like it. On the left-hand side, Gregory is not looking... is looking a bit naughty. He's stealing... he's got a dog on his leg. You can see the dog down below, biting his leg. Is he stealing the dog's present, which is a bone? It could potentially be what's going on right here. Visually, very interesting. Very interesting. If we look at the stats and stuff, at a level 720 limit break 3 character, he has got 17,469 attack, 14,973 defense, and 17,469 HP. He is a tough character, considered control character, mythic character of course, and he will be part of the Holiday Heroes Allegiance along with the other Holiday Hero characters that we've seen come out in recent months. So I believe that's 5 so far. We've got Herschel, Carl, Tyrese, Carol, and now Gregory. Moving swiftly over to his Adrenaline Rush, is called the Christmas Grouch. Is a 66 AP cost rush. Deal 400% damage to up to 3 enemies. This character gets 80 crit for 3 turns. So not really doing too much when it comes to his control. He's not doing any control with this rush, unfortunately. And 400% isn't really that high. You know, we've seen Tyrese recently kind of fall off quite heavily, and he's doing 400% to all enemies. But this guy is not a damage dealer, and Tyrese is. So 400% for someone who's a controller, not too bad. But I would have liked to have seen some sort of control on this, even if it was just the target. So for instance, the target gets, you know, impaired for 2 turns or something like that. But right now it's doing no control at all, no control potential. But it will do a little bit of damage, and it will buff his crit, which could potentially help with other part of his kit. So we have got the Adrenaline Rush up of Gregory here, so we'll just show you. If someone has defense down, of course, he will do amplified damage, and he'll hit 3 people for 400%, which can be reasonable against, you know, trait damage. That was 2 characters taking trait damage. But on non-trait damage, obviously, it will be vastly reduced. He does have that 80 crit buff, as you can see, and that will be boosting his future basic attacks, signature moves potentially, and obviously giving him more chance to crit. He is a tough character, so he could use a rampage weapon. However, his rush will not be able to take advantage of a rampage weapon, so it's up to you what you want to use. So if we check out the upgrades on this rush, you can see at grade 3 he gets a 30 crit boost, so it goes from 30 to 60 crit boost. At grade 5 he gets a 150% damage boost, so it goes to from a 150% to 300%. At limit break 2 he gets another 20 crit, so it goes from 60 to 80, and at limit break 3 he gets another 100% damage. So it goes from 300% damage to 400% total. The amount of enemies that get hit will always be 3. It will just be the damage amplification coming in. But I would still say the damage output here isn't obviously that great. You can amplify this, 1535s, buffs, obviously so on and so forth. But like I said, this rush is kind of underwhelming. If he was a damage dealer, he's not. But it's underwhelming as a controller too, because there's no control. So next up we'll check out the signature move of Gregory, and it's called You've Been Naughty. Initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Make a critical attack against an enemy for 100% damage. That enemy gets impaired for 3 turns. So here we do get a bit of control, and it is off of turn 1. 3 turn impair means that this will be a lock as well, so you could potentially just impair the same character over and over again. So if there is a very troublesome rush, this is not too bad at all. Now the damage is not that great though. 100% is not doing a huge amount of damage, but it is guaranteeing a crit. So there is a bit of a downside to this. Because his rush gives crit, it's obviously not going to give him a better chance to crit this. He's always going to crit this. But he also has no chance to actually crit on his Adrenaline Rush. So it's only going, that crit buff of his Adrenaline Rush is only going to boost his basic attacks. So not the greatest, honestly. but this signature move isn't too bad for a control character. So pretty basic and easy to understand signature move here. You select a target that you do not wish to rush, and you can impair them turn 1. As you can see, impair will come in. Now, there are other parts of Gregory's kit which will do other things when he crits, as you can see. The most basic part of this when it comes to the signature move is a guaranteed critical hit and the character being impaired for 3 turns. And depending on what weapon you had in his hands, he could obviously get some amplification there. For instance, it could be a guaranteed rampage attack off of turn 1, or any other future potential weapons that come out when it comes to getting crits and potential things happening. We've had weapons in the past, I believe, where if you hit a critical, you can potentially impair a line of enemies. Quite a rare weapon, but that could work in Gregory's hands. Now, if you look at the upgrades on this signature move, you can see at grade 2, it gets -1 to cooldown, so it goes from 3 turns down to 2 turns. At grade 4, it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes from 2 turns down to 1 turn starting cooldown. And at limit break 1, it gets +1 to impair duration. So it goes from 2 turns up to 3 turns on the impair, which obviously is nice. A longer impair does mean, like I said, whichever character you want to target and just completely take out of the game with regards to their rush, you can just completely focus with Gregory on the signature moves. So I don't think this signature move is too bad at all, and like I said, it does work with other parts of his kit, which we'll get into in a moment, but also it can work with weapons. So yeah, not too bad at all. The impair is nice. I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more damage, but as a control role character, it is what it is. You're going to rely on other characters to get the major damage out for your teams. Okay, so we'll check out the mythic abilities of Gregory here. These are his passive skills, and if you check out the art on this, I like this quite a lot. He's like stealing a present and just like sneaking away. I think that's really funny. If we check it, the first one, obviously it's going to be precision because he is a control character. Enemies have 40% lower resistances against this character, and that is a flat reduction. So he has got an impair resist will be 40% lower. You don't see too many impair resist, but anyone who has a passive impair resist, he would obviously be able to potentially bypass that. Even if they had 100% resist, he'd be able to reduce that resist down a bit. Next one is Grumpy Aura. At the start of each wave, all damage roll teammates get 60% bonus HP. This is actually really nice. A bit more of a support character role style here, or even a medic. But 60% bonus HP is huge. And I've been, using some bonus HP recently on attack teams, and it's so beneficial. It's so beneficial. It stops, the reflect being as bad. It stops the dogpiling from the defense team being as bad. Bonus HP is awesome, and your damage roll characters are generally the most susceptible to, getting dogpiled and so on and so forth. The next one is called I'm Taking These. When attacking, 50% chance to steal up to 2 positive effects from that target. So he's basically got, again, a ransack, weapon built into his passives where he's stealing 2 effects. I like that a lot. That is really nice. You can steal a lot of different things with this. Don't forget you can steal Halo buffs. So for instance, if you proc Ivanova's Halo, you can steal it away with this on a basic attack or a signature move. So that's really nice. You can still heal over time away from characters so they're not healing anymore. This is actually pretty useful. The last one is a Tough Holiday. 80% increased damage against tough targets. So that's going to amplify everything. It should amplify everything. Signature move, rush, basic attacks. And that's going to be quite a nice boost indeed. Quite strange that he's, a tough character dealing more damage against tough characters. But, not terrible. I think this is actually pretty reasonable. But nothing in here I think that really boosts his control except precision. So again, he's not really the most overpowered at all in terms of the amount of control output he's going to do on the main parts of his kit, but he has obviously got one more thing left with his specialist skill, which we'll check out in just a moment. Okay, so it's my turn, and as you can see, I have got Ivanova on the defense team here, and I've got a 50% chance to steal this buff. I could have obviously steal 2 if she did have another buff. So if I just do a basic attack, I have stolen away the Halo, and I have now got it for 1 turn. The main thing about that one is that you just take it away from her. So if I obviously followed up with more damage and took her out, she would not revive. And that would work on any character that could get Halo as a buff. It doesn't work with specialist skill Halo because that procs when they actually get taken down. So that's just worth noting. But it would still potentially any 2 positive effects on an enemy. and that could be, like I said, heal over time, defense, attack bonuses, anything like that. I think the other passive skills are pretty easy to understand with regards to how they work. Damage roll characters just get 60% bonus HP, and of course Gregory does 80% more damage against tough characters. I think it's pretty straightforward there. If we look at the upgrades, you can see at grade 1 he gets the first half of Grumpy Aura, so that's 30% of the bonus HP for damage roll characters. At grade 2 he will get Precision, or the first half of it, 20% lower resistances against this character. The second half of Grumpy Aura to make it 60% total on the bonus HP. The first half of I'm Taking These, when attacking, 30% chance to steal 2 positive effects. The second one is a Tough Holiday, and that's the first half of Tough Holiday at grade 5. Precision 2 at Limit Break 1 as usual, and that'll stack with Precision 1, making it a 40% total. At Limit Break 2, I'm Taking These 2, making it a 50% total chance to steal 2 positive effects from a target. And then at Limit Break 3, it'll be a Tough Holiday 2 to increase it up to 80% increased damage against tough targets, and that will be quite a decent amplification of damage for Gregory Grouch here. Now, as we've seen throughout the kit, he hasn't got a huge amount of control. However, he is a control specialist, disarming specialist. It does mean he's not going to be able to proc any defensive weapons, 3rd or 4th slots, but if he hits critical attacks on his basic attacks or his signature move, he will be able to disarm the character so no one else procs the 3rd slot on weapons. This is like absolute defense, imperial defense, that sort of good stuff. So this is actually a pretty good specialist. I think he's the first tough disarming character, and I think we've got one of every trait now. I'm pretty sure we've got a disarm for every trait, so that's actually pretty good. And he could potentially obviously go into a team because of that. If you want to build a tough team, he could work on Challenge Run. Challenge Run, you can only use trait characters, so that's going to be useful. And like I said, he can never proc things himself, so that's always going to be nice in terms of him being able to lead the attacks, or zero risk attacks from Gregory himself. So I like disarming quite a lot, and I think it works into his kit reasonably well. But he's only going to get the crit bonus from his rush on his basic attacks, so it's kind of strange, but it will increase his chance to actually hit crits and get a disarm in for his teammates. Now, as we see, Gregory does have an attached weapon, and it is pretty well upgraded. It starts off as a 5-star weapon, and it's Gregory Grouch's Energized Machine Gun. It has 30% attack, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, bonus AP, receive 20% AP at the beginning of each wave, and in the 4 slots he's got Maiming Shots. Basic attack critical hits are turned into maim damage, and that's why you saw there be maim damage on his signature move. This could actually be pretty good. I wouldn't say it's like the best weapon to craft. It's kind of like not going to be that useful, but it could be nice on Gregory if you wanted to build like a main character. There are a couple of other main characters in Tough. I know there's Frost, and maybe there's other characters too, and these sort of characters can be useful against certain stages on things like Conquest, and no doubt in the future Challenge Run, when it gets very difficult, and the fact that Challenge Run lasts for 20 turns, then you've got a good chance of being able to utilize Maim a little bit more. So I don't mind this weapon too much. It isn't a weapon I'd want to build, but I'd be happy to upgrade it on Gregory here. I'd just go with 40% attack, huge bonus to AP when attacking, and then switch this weapon out if you so wish, like with a 1535 and stuff, just for normal attacks. And then using this Maiming Shots base weapon, fully upgraded, in very certain scenarios. So this was Gold Mythic Gregory Grouch, and he is an interesting character. I don't think he's like spectacular, honestly. I think he's just missing a little bit. I think his rush is just missing the mark a bit. I think there should have been a little bit of control there. I do think most controllers seem kind of underwhelming a lot of the time, just because they don't have control in heavy parts of their kit. I don't necessarily think there should always be damage on characters, but he isn't doing too bad on damage if you do get him to attack tough characters. And the fact that you can utilize him as a main character in Challenge Run could be useful at some point in the future. But I think otherwise, it's just a bit hit and miss. If the Ransack was 100% chance, to steal 2 positive effects, maybe there could be better ways to use him. But for me, I actually prefer Carol over Gregory Grouch here as the character, and I think Carol's the little bit more accessible one. So it's a little bit surprising. I would have thought Gregory here would be a little bit better than he is, but visually he does look very impressive. I like him a lot. So maybe we'll be able to pick up a couple of this guy. You'll get some pulls on the stash. You could get lucky. But do let me know your thoughts on Gregory Grouch here as a character. How would you best utilize him? Do you think he'd be decent for challenge run? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.